Talk about the crop and straighten tool in Lightroom today. To get to the crop and straighten tool, you're going to go to the develop module. There's 4 icons right underneath the histogram. The first one is our crop and straighten tool, or what most people would refer to as the crop tool. It really allows us to do 2 different things to our image. It allows us to crop it by keeping the original aspect ratio or changing the aspect ratio, and it'll allow us to straighten it or change the angle of rotation of our image. So let's start with the cropping or the aspect ratio. So we have choices here. We can leave it as the original. We can change it to a 1:1, which would be a square, and you can see that it automatically updates to show me that. We could change it to 4:5. We could change it to 8.5:11. So we can choose any, and we can even enter our own ratio that we want our image to be cropped to. Now, that ratio will stay confined. You can see as I move it, it keeps my ratio. No matter which way I move my mouse, the ratio of my image stays the same. But if I click on this little lock icon over here and unlock it, now when I move my ratio or my crop, I can select whatever I want to select. So I can do it just sort of free-formed and bring down all the sides and kind of get it to fit exactly where I want it to fit, with no regard of whether it's a square or a rectangle or anything beyond that. I'm going to reset this and show you one other way that we can do this. I'm going to unlock my aspect ratio, and then I'm going to grab my crop tool right here. So I clicked on the icon right next to where it says aspect, and now I can just click and drag whatever size and shape I want, and it will create my crop from that. Now if I did that and I wanted the church to be centered in here, you can see that now that I have my crop going, when I come outside of it, I get a little crooked arrow, and that'll let me rotate my image. If I scroll over one of those sides or the corners, I get this bar with the 2 arrows, which will let me change my crop. And then if I'm inside, I get a little hand, and the hand will let me move my image around. And so I can perfectly center or line this up exactly where I want it to be lined up. And in order to accept this, I can click on Done down here, or I can just hit the Enter key, and it will accept that crop, and it'll exit me out of the crop tool. If I want to change the crop, I can go back into my crop tool, and you can see that all of my pixels are still there because, remember, Lightroom is a non-destructive editor. I can change any of those aspects or lock that aspect and make it larger or smaller, and you can see it stays confined to that size or that aspect ratio that I had before. I can still move my image around and realign everything up. The next thing that it does is it lets me do rotation, and there's auto that'll try to find horizontal or vertical lines and automatically straighten the image to that. There's a slider here that you can slide back and forth to get it to rotate. We also have those arrows outside that I can grab and move the image like that. I'm going to move it way off and then show you this last one, which is the little bubble level here. And so with this bubble level tool, I can take and draw a straight line across whatever I want to be perfectly straight, like the 2 of those rooftops. And when I let go, Lightroom will automatically snap that line to be perfectly horizontal for me. I can do it vertically as well, so I can grab that same aspect ratio, and let's just go like from the top of the tower here in the center, down through that middle window, sort of bisecting the church in half, and it'll also rotate it to match that perfectly as well. There is this thing called constrain to image, and that really only comes into play when we use the transform tool down here as well. Was the transform tool can create blank canvas around our image. The crop tool will only work within the confines of the pixels of our image. You also have the reset down here and the close. And so to accept all of this, again, you can hit done or you can hit enter. So if I hit done, it closes my crop tool and I have my cropped image.